Well, it's about that time. Team of the Year is almost upon us in NHL 25, but in this video, I'm going to go over everything that you need to know to prepare for one of the biggest events of the year in Hockey Ultimate Team. Now, this year's event is going to kick off on January 24th at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And if you want to be around for the live stream while we break down all of the newest content and releases, be sure to tune in on the live stream, twitch.tv/NoSleeves12. It's usually one of the biggest streams of the year for me, so I hope to see you there. That being said, I want to go over all of the things I'm doing as someone who does not spend any money in the game to prepare for this event. Now, for anyone brand new to the game, I do want to touch on how the Team of the Year event and cards work and why they are so sought after. I'll use NHL 24 as an example, but they usually feature multiple points to a synergy, and in NHL 25, we don't have customizable synergies, but it is a potential in NHL 25 to see them at Team of the Year. That wouldn't surprise me, but more or less, they will more than likely have multiple points to whatever synergies they do have. On top of that, they have a whole slew of abilities, usually the most in the game. And the biggest benefit is that they will automatically upgrade every time a brand new card comes out. So when Nathan MacKinnon received a 92 overall, his Team of the Year card jumped up to 92 overall to match the highest release Nathan MacKinnon card. Now, I do want to touch on the expectations of Team of the Year cards when it comes to receiving upgrades, because these are usually the best players in the game, but they are not guaranteed to hit 99. And for the first time in what I can recall ever in the history of the event, we received cards that never hit 99 truthfully. Miro Heiskanen capped out at 98, and Linus Ullmark stopped at 97. And from the Women's Team of the Year release, there was only 3 that actually hit 99 overall. So when you combine that with the fact that we still have holograms and X Factor captains at 86 overall in the middle of January, do not expect monthly or regular updates to Team of the Year cards. It is one of the biggest faults in the event, and I see a ton of players that save everything for this event. Get all 6 of the men's cards or a whole slew of the men and women items, and then complain all the time when they don't receive upgrades. There's no guarantee that they will get an upgrade, so I just want you to be aware of that. Now, when it comes to how we will actually make these cards, it more than likely will not operate like a normal event. So the past few events, even if you just picked it up at the holiday season, has had us trading in multiple overalls until we get to the point where we have to trade in a few high-end event items, as well as 2 86 overall items for the HUT 2000s event, and that will net us the Master Set player item. However, when it comes to the Team of the Year event, there is only 6 players for the men's and women's usually, so there is not an event card that you can go out and make. The closest event that we have to mimic the style of the Team of the Year is the fantasy event that we received already earlier in the season. Now, when it came to making a fantasy item in NHL 25, it required 40 collectibles, and at the time, there was only 3 ways to make them. One set was trading in 7 76 and above player items to get 1. The next set was trading in 5 78 and above items to get 2. And the final was 3 80 overall and above items for 3 fantasy hockey collectibles. Looking back, that's just hilarious when you consider the overalls and just how starved we were for those low-end cards at the beginning of the game. But it highlights the next thing that we just don't know, and that is what will be required to make the Team of the Year collectibles. From my time being a full-time creator and breaking down Hockey Ultimate Team as a mode, this is by far the most unpredictable year. It feels like they just changed their mind almost moments before an event drops, and when it comes to Team of the Year, I don't expect it to be any different. However, here would be my guess. I'm going to use the HUT 2000s event as a benchmark or a starting point. We can all but assume that it will at least require 86 and above. Those cards will be able to be traded in. However, there is not sets for 87s or 88 overalls, so there is no guarantee that those will be used for Team of the Year. So when it comes to giving you guys advice on cards to go after, I like to play it safe and not really give any guesses or estimations in that sense. So if you want to play it completely safe, assume that 86s will be one of the higher trade-in sets, but there is no guarantee that you'll get 87s. Now, looking back on last year's Team of the Year, we can't really use the overalls when it comes to the sets because progression is so different and it has just always been much lower. However, I would hazard a guess that there will be multiple overall benchmarks to trade in, and potentially all of them. So 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, and 86, potentially 87, will all have individual trade-ins. The only big issue that you might run into is if EA decides to go by twos. Like they did in the fantasy event, they required 76s, and then 78s, and then 80s, which meant that 79s were worth just as much as 78s, and 77s were worth just as much as 76s. Therein lies the issue. But with that being said, I'm going to try and get as many cards in the mid-80s as I can, and I'm going to show you the sets that I am focusing on. The first one is in the HUT 2000s collectible sets. This event really does not offer any Master Set players, in my opinion, that are worth chasing if you are someone that has been playing since launch of the game and building your team. I think it's an incredible event to catch up for brand new players, but for players that have invested a lot in their team, there really just isn't going to be a lot of cards that replace some of the high-end stuff we've got. So the first set that I'm going after is the 4x83 overall, and that will require 40 HUT 2000s collectibles. If you want to be completely safe, doing 30 for this 86 overall would also be my second option, but my thought process here is that I'm getting a few more chances at something that might be above 83, so I'm thinking more quantity over quality in that sense. Now, when it comes to getting those HUT 2000s collectibles, you want to make sure you're completing the wildcard path. There'll be over 40 in this wildcard path, and we will receive one more before the first Team of the Week drop on January 24th. So that's your chance to get 2 of those sets right from just the wildcard drops. This would also be 2 weeks where I would try and do as many chores as you can. Completing the Week 1 HUT 2000s objective will net you an 86 overall. Again, that will be one of the higher rated cards no matter what for the trade-in for Team of the Year. Even if it isn't the highest, it will be up there. And again, you will receive various amounts of HUT collectibles for that event that you can then use to trade in for more of those 83 and above sets, or the 86 if you want to go that route. Now, the other set that I'm focusing on is in the XP Season 3 path, and it was one of the newer ones that they introduced in this season, and that is the Random 83 Overall Choice Pack. So it will cost you 10 XP collectibles, and it will net you a random 83 and above player choice pack. I have not received 4 83 players in the set. I've always gotten something 84 and above. There has been some crazy pulls in this, but the thought process, again, is that even if you just get an 83 overall, that's fine, because, again, you want to be kind of in the middle 80s. At least you get your shot at something a little bit higher as we work towards the event. The other thing to note, guys, is you do not need to do this until the event drops. The HUT 2000s event, obviously, you're going to need to do that before the event expires. But the XP path sets, you can just hoard all of your collectibles, and in case they come out with a set that makes a little bit more value for you, you can then pivot those collectibles once the event has dropped. I would not trade in any of your XP collectibles until the Team of the Year event drops, if you are worried about making Team of the Year player items. There's just no point in rushing it out. You might find that there is another set that ends up being far more lucrative when it comes to making those cards. And then lastly, I want to touch on the Team of the Week sets, because I feel like Team of the Week is just completely forgotten about, because usually the value just isn't there in making these cards at all. But if you're able to grab 3 84 and above Team of the Week items, you can grab an 86 overall Team of the Week choice pack. Now, it might be more beneficial to just save the 84s, but there are some exchange sets that might be of value to you. For instance, trading in 3 82s for an 84. Again, if they don't have a trade-in when Team of the Year is released for 82 and above items, this 84 might be a little bit more value for you. But again, I really wouldn't do this until the event drops, so don't go all in. Just have an eye. If you've got 82 and above items, just hold on to them. Which leads me to my next point, and that is to hold everything right now. I would not be selling any cards, in my opinion, especially if you are brand new and not taking part in the Team of the Year event. And the reason for that is the HUT 2000s event was kind of dead on arrival because the Gallery of Greats event was so good. It was really just set up to fail because no one's making those Master Set player items. So all of the cards that are being sold to the market have gone down in price, whether that's 86 overalls, or 85s, 84s, all of it, you're really selling it for the least value because no one's looking to buy those cards for the Master Set player items. And then my last point, and this is going to be a dangerous one because I know that when people watch this, it is going to impact the market. I'm going to try and make this as vague as possible. But when it comes to what do you do with your coins leading into the Team of the Year event, you do not want to have coins going into Team of the Year. And the reason for that is the second the event drops, everyone wants these cards. Prices will go through the roof. So even if you were saving as many coins as possible to keep your flexibility open in terms of what sets to make and things like that, you are going to pay the absolute premium for cards. For example, 86 overalls are going for just under 40,000 coins as of the time of this recording. Expect them to shoot up to 50 and maybe even higher when Team of the Year comes out, because if they are required in a set, it is just going to dry up the market. The supply will not be able to meet the demand. So what I would recommend is set your benchmark price point, whether that's 40,000 coins or less. You know what you're comfortable with. I have 340,000 coins right now, and I will slowly be buying 86 overall cards leading up to the event. But the one thing that you do want to pay attention to is when you are looking for 86 overall items, have an eye and see if there are any 87 overall items available, or even higher sometime. And the reason for that is because 87s are not used in sets right now. 86s are, so some people will just sell them because there is no set that requires an 87. So be on the lookout for that. That is the safest if you can get the 87 overall for the same price as 86s. And the same thing goes for lower overalls. If you find an 85 going for the same price as what 84s go for, those are the things on the market that you want to immediately buy. So again, take your time. You've got about 10 days at the time of this recording to slowly spend your coins on your collection so that you've got a good amount ready to be traded in for Team of the Year. The last thing I want to say is just my overall thoughts on Team of the Year. It is obviously one of the more exciting events of the year, but as someone who has played this game for an exceptional amount of time, it does come with its kind of faults, and that is if you make 4 or maybe even 6 Team of the Year items, understand that you've invested about 800 to 1,000,000 coins in value on those players. You are always going to want to keep them in your lineup, and there is no guarantee that they will be upgraded, which means you've got 4 to 6 players that are just locked in your lineup for the remainder of the year, which is why I always say don't worry about Team of the Year. You're more than likely going to be able to get one at a discounted price. But I know there are a lot of people out there that specifically save for this event. So I hope this helps get you ready for NHL 25's Team of the Year. I will let you know all of the other info and things that come out about the event leading up to it. I'll probably have another breakdown video when new sets come out and become available to try and help you use that collection wisely. But thank you guys again for watching. I'll see you next time. Have a good one.